All right, welcome back to another episode of Chip Theory, where we talk about our musical modes using poker chips. Here you can see we've got our poker chips laid out, a certain pattern, just like you might see on a piano keyboard if you were to mask off an octave from the note C sharp down here, C sharp or D flat, all the way through the octave through C natural. So here is C natural, and down here is C sharp. And you can see we have a chromatic scale laid out: C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, A, A sharp or B flat, B, and C. Of course, there are 12 notes, 12 unique chips in an octave. If we were to count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And given a 13th note, a duplicate chip up here of a C sharp, that would give us 13 chips, yet only 12 half steps between them for our half step intervals for a chromatic scale. So if we were to count the intervals between them, we'd have one here, 2, 3, 4. Note here that this only has one half step. This is between two white chips. This is going to be our notes E and F, if you will. And here a half step, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 here between B and C, and then 12 would be from C back to our keynote here, C sharp. And the point of this chromatic exercise here today is I'm going to be discussing a modal key of the C sharp Mixolydian mode. It's a scale of a mode of the major key. It would be based on the 5th degree of the major scale. It's also known as a scale that has a flat 7th degree, and I will show that here in a minute. For now, the first thing I'd like to realize for Mixolydian modes is the pattern for Mixolydian keys is going to be a whole step, a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a whole step, a half step, and a whole step. Again, that pattern for Mixolydian is going to be the inverse pattern of the Aeolian pattern. So if we know our natural minor scale as whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole, of course that mode is based on the 6th degree of your major scale, ascending. We can say that pattern in reverse, or the descending pattern of the Aeolian mode, to reach our Mixolydian mode ascending, and vice versa. So we know that Mixolydian is whole, whole, half, half, whole, and the natural minor scale is whole, half, half, whole. So if we know the Aeolian scale, we know our Mixolydian scale. So we've killed two birds with one stone by knowing our natural minor scale and simply saying that pattern backwards. Of course, when we're looking for the actual scale, we're dealing with the ascending pattern only. The second thing we want to realize about our C sharp Mixolydian mode is the key that it will be relative to. It being the 5th degree of the major scale means it will be 7 half steps, or a perfect fifth, above its relative major note. So if we bring our C sharp to the right here and we count down 7 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, we've arrived here at our note F sharp. So again, our key of C sharp Mixolydian will share the same key signature with our F sharp major scale. And F sharp major is going to have 6 sharps. It's going to be on the 6 o'clock position on the circle of fifths. Those sharps will follow the order of sharps as F, C, G, D, A, and E per the order of sharps for key signatures. Okay, so realizing those things, we can move our C sharp back down. Again, since our octave had 12 half steps and we moved 7 down from the C sharp on the top octave, we know that this note from C sharp below will be 5 half steps, because 12 minus 7, if you will, equals 5 remaining half steps. Again, that's a perfect fourth. So we know that F sharp is a perfect fourth from C sharp going up. So our relative major of C sharp Mixolydian will land on the 4th degree of our Mixolydian scale. Again, that goes for all Mixolydian modes. Your relative major scale, of which the modal scale is built, always lands on the 4th degree in Mixolydian modes. So we could simply play our F sharp major scale starting on the C sharp, or we could use the pattern for Mixolydian modes, right, as the inverse to the Aeolian pattern that I discussed before. So again, our pattern was a whole step here, so from C sharp here to D sharp is a whole step. Now again, F sharp major has an E sharp, which is a white chip that's being sharped. So I'm going to go ahead and use a red chip here for that to make that easier to remember. So here we have E sharp for a second whole step. So again, we have a whole step, and a whole step, and then a half step, and then another whole step, another whole step, and a half step, and then our final whole step will be from B back to C sharp to complete the octave for our Mixolydian modal scale. Removing the notes that are not in our Mixolydian mode leaves us here with a scale with 5 sharps, just like our, or sorry, 6 sharps, just like our F sharp major. And here, if we look at the pattern in inverse, we have the Aeolian pattern with our Mixolydian mode notes. Coming down or descending, we have a whole step, a half step, whole, whole, half, whole, and whole back to the octave coming down. Again, the pattern going up was whole, whole, half, whole, half, whole. That leaves us with the notes of our Mixolydian mode: C sharp, D sharp, E sharp. Again, this is a white chip, white key, it's been sharped, if you will. F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B natural, and C sharp. Okay. Now, one thing to realize about the Mixolydian mode is this 7th degree here. If we were to compare our notes here with C sharp, I'm starting on the C sharp. If we look at a C sharp major scale, of course, C sharp major key has 7 sharps, which would include here a B sharp, like this. So what we have essentially here is, if we compare these two scales, a C sharp major scale that has been flatted on the 7th degree for Mixolydian mode from B sharp to B natural. That's where we get our flat 7th scale degree for Mixolydian modes. That's one way to think about it, as a C sharp major scale with that flat 7, or in this case a B sharp to a B natural. Realizing that, we can move our notes down to our Ionian position. Again, this is going to be an F sharp major scale. F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E sharp. And what I want to do is give these scale degrees numbers. So we're going to number based on our major scale or relative measure to our Mixolydian mode. Okay, so 1 is going to be F sharp, 2 is G sharp, 3 is going to be A sharp, 4 is B, 5 here is the C sharp. This C sharp here is going to be our Mixolydian modal note, our keynote for the Mixolydian, or the 5th scale degree of F sharp major. And D sharp would be 6, and E sharp would be the 7th scale degree. Keeping those scale degrees in mind, we can move back to our Mixolydian position, and then we can refer to these as the scale degrees based on a relative major. Of scale degree number 5, 6, 7, root, here's our root, or the F sharp, 2, 3, and 4. So 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4 of the relative major F sharp, or C sharp Mixolydian. Understanding that, we can determine the triads of our Mixolydian mode based on our scale degrees here. We have the 5, 7, and 2 of F sharp, C sharp, E sharp, and G sharp, which is a major triad. Our second triad of C sharp Mixolydian is going to be the 6 root 3 scale degrees of a relative major. D sharp, F sharp, and A sharp, which is minor. Our third triad will be the 7, 2, 4 scale degrees of a relative major. And we should recall that our 7, 2, 4 scale degrees are always diminished in every key in major. 7, 2, 4 is a diminished triad. In this case, we have an E sharp, G sharp, and B natural, which is diminished. 7, 2, and 4. Here in the 4th position of Mixolydian, we have a relative major, root 3 and 5, F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp, which is major. Here in our 6th position, we have, this is the 5th position, 2, 4, and 6, G sharp, B, and D sharp, which is minor. Again, in Mixolydian modes, the 5 chord here is minor. Our 6th triad is going to be the 3, 5, and 7, A sharp, C sharp, and E sharp, which is minor. That's not right. What did I say? That is right. A sharp, C sharp, E sharp. And our 7th degree, our flat 7th degree here is the 4, 6, and root, or relative major, B, D sharp, and F sharp. Again, we have a flat 7 major triad. In this case, B, D sharp, F sharp, or B major triad. Those are going to be the triads. Using the same principle of scale degrees, we can use alternating tones of the scale, C sharp Mixolydian, to find 7th chords by using the extension of a 4th tone That's going to give us a scale degrees in the first position here, 5724 of our relative major of F sharp, and C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, and B natural. Okay, 5, 7, 2, and 4. Again, here we have a dominant 7 chord on the 1 position of Mixolydian. A 5, 7, 2, 4 scale degrees of a relative major of F sharp, or C sharp Mixolydian. Again, from 7 to 2, we have a 1 plus 2 interval from E sharp to G sharp, because E sharp to F sharp is 1/2 step, and F sharp to G sharp is 2/2 steps. So this interval is a 1 plus 2 interval right here. This format goes for all keys. From scale degrees 7 and 2, you have a 1 plus 2 interval here. And from scale degrees 2 to 4, you have a 2 plus 1 here. For instance, G sharp to B, you have the G sharp to A sharp is 2/2 steps, and A sharp to B is 1/2 step. For the 5, 7, 2, 4 chord, here on the 1 position of Mixolydian. Our second position chord was a 6 root 3, 5 chord. D sharp, F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp. This chord is going to be a minor 7 chord, the 6th chord of a relative major, if you will. 6 root 3, 5. And it's going to have a 2 plus 1 interval here and a 1 plus 2 interval here. Between 3 and 5, and between 6 and root is a 2 plus 1. On the third degree here we have a half diminished 7, 2, 4, 6, E sharp, G sharp, B, and D sharp, or 7, 2, 4, 6 scale degrees from a relative major, which was F sharp major, leaving us E sharp, G sharp, B, and D sharp. Half diminished has a 3, 3, 4 spacing, giving us a major third here from B to D sharp over our E sharp diminished triad. Of course, these minor thirds are going to have a 1 plus 2 here and a 2 plus 1 here. A 1 plus 2 between the scale degrees 7 and 2, and a 2 plus 1 between scale degrees 2 and 4. Our fourth chord is a relative major, root 3, 5, 7 of F sharp, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E sharp. Again, a major 7 chord has a 4, 3, 4 spacing of half steps, and the scale degrees 3 and 5 have a 1 plus 2 interval between them. In this case, A sharp to C sharp. You have A sharp to B natural and B to C sharp. So 1 plus 2 right here. The fifth chord is the 2, 4, 6 root scale degrees, G sharp, B, D sharp, and F sharp. Again, our fifth position chord of Mixolydian is a minor 7 chord, the 2, 4, 6 root scale degrees, or the 2 chord of the relative major, if you will. It's going to have between the 2 and 4 a 2 plus 1, as well as between the 6 and the root scale degrees a 2 plus 1. In this case, we have G sharp, B, D sharp, and F sharp. G sharp minor 7. Our sixth position chord was a 3, 5, 7, 2 scale degrees, A sharp, C sharp, E sharp, and and G sharp. Another minor 7 chord. And one thing to remember is although this is the same chord quality as the 5 chord here and the 2 chord, they're all 3-4-3 spacings of half steps, 3, 4, and 3. The minor thirds are slightly different based on what scale degrees they're based off of because of the spacing of half steps, right? So here, the 3, 5, 7, 2, you have a 3 and a 5 here has a 1 plus 2 interval, and between 7 and 2 also has a 1 plus 2. So these have 1 plus 2s. These were 2 plus 1s on the 5 chord, and here was a 2 plus 1 and a 1 plus 2. One of either here on the note based on the 6th scale degree of a relative major. Here in the second position of Mixolydian. All right. So here we had an A sharp minor 7 in the 6th position. And on the 7th position, we have a flat 7, major 7 chord, the 4, 6, root 3 scale degrees, B, D sharp, F sharp, and A sharp. 4, 6, root 3, or a flat 7, E major 7, B, D sharp, F sharp, and A sharp. Again, between 6 and root, scale degrees has a 2 plus 1 interval for its minor third. It would be a good thing to study up and memorize the spacing between the minor third scale degrees of a major scale, because they're always the same. Once you learn the formats, they're the same across all your modes and all your keys, right? So here, 4, 6, root 3, right? Okay, so assuming that the scale degrees don't change, and those intervals will be the same in root position, let's talk about the inversions of these chords based on the interval quality of the chord quality that they formed for a Mixolydian key. Remember, this is still C sharp Mixolydian. And our 1 chord here was a dominant 7. The dominant 7 is always a 4-3-3 spacing. C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, and B natural. When we invert this, we have a 4-3-2 series of half steps. 4, 3, and 2 is first inversion, dominant 7. I'm sorry, it's not 4-3-2, it's 3-3-2. So we have 4-3-3, and then 3-3-2 is dominant 7, excuse me. 3-3-2 starting on E sharp. E sharp, G sharp, B, and C sharp. Here we have a second inversion, dominant 7 chord, starting on the note G sharp, which is going to be a 3-2-4. G sharp, B, C sharp, and E sharp. And our second inversion for dominant 7s was 2-4-3, starting on B, C sharp, E sharp, and G sharp. Coming down is G sharp, E sharp, C sharp, B, E sharp, C sharp, B, G sharp, C sharp, B, G sharp, and E sharp, and B, G sharp, E sharp, C sharp. Our second chord here was the D sharp minor 7, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp, a 3-4-3 spacing. When we invert it, we bring our D sharp up, we have a 4-3-2 starting on F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and D sharp. Our second inversion, 3-2-3 position, starting on A sharp, C sharp, D sharp, and F sharp, to a 2-3-4 position, starting on C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and A sharp. Coming down is A sharp, F sharp, D sharp, C sharp, F sharp, D sharp, C sharp, A sharp, D sharp, C sharp, A sharp, and F sharp, and C sharp, A sharp, F sharp, and D sharp. Our third position chord here was the 7-2-4-6, half diminished, E sharp, G sharp, B, and D sharp. Half diminished is a 3-3-4 spacing until we invert it, giving us a 3-4-2 position. Starting on G sharp, we have B, D sharp, and E sharp. When we invert it to a second inversion, we have a 4-2-3 position, starting on B, D sharp, E sharp, and G sharp. Finally to a 2-3-3 position, half diminished chord, starting on D sharp, E sharp, G sharp, and B. And coming down is B, G sharp, E sharp, D sharp, G sharp, E sharp, D sharp, B, E sharp, D sharp, B, G sharp, and D sharp, B, G sharp, and E sharp. Again, our fourth position of Mixolydian is our relative major, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E sharp. It's a 4-3-4 spacing. When we invert it, we have a 3-4-1 position, starting on A sharp, C sharp, E sharp, F sharp, to a 4-1-4 position, C sharp, E sharp, F sharp, A sharp, and a 1-4-3 position, E sharp, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. Coming down is C sharp, A sharp, F sharp, E sharp, A sharp, F sharp, E sharp, C sharp, F sharp, E sharp, C sharp, A sharp, and E sharp, C sharp, A sharp, F sharp. Our 5 chord of Mixolydian was a minor 7, the 2-4-6 root, G sharp, B, D sharp, and F sharp. It's a 3-4-3 spacing. When we invert it, we have a 4-3-2 starting on B, B, D sharp, F sharp, and G sharp, to a 3-2-3 position starting on D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, B, to our 2-3-4 position, F sharp, G sharp, B, and D sharp. Coming down is D sharp, B, G sharp, F sharp, B, G sharp, F sharp, D sharp, G sharp, F sharp, D sharp, B, and G sharp, F sharp, and F sharp, D sharp, B, and G sharp, or G sharp minor 7. The 6th position chord was a minor 7 as well, the 3-5-7-2, A sharp, C sharp, E sharp, and G sharp, the 3-4-3 spacing. When we invert it, we have a 4-3-2, starting on C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, A sharp, to a 3-2-3 spacing, E sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C sharp, to a 2-3-4 position, starting on G sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E sharp. Coming down is E sharp, C sharp, A sharp, G sharp, C sharp, A sharp, G sharp, E sharp, A sharp, G sharp, E sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, E sharp, C sharp, A sharp. Finally, our flat 7 chord of Mixolydian. It's the 4-6 root 3 scale degrees from a relative major, B, D sharp, F sharp, and A sharp. It's a 4-3-4 spacing chord. When we invert our B major 7, we have 3-4-1 starting on D sharp, F sharp, A sharp, B, to a 4-1-4 position starting on F sharp, A sharp, B, D sharp, to a 1-4-3, A sharp, B, D sharp, F sharp. Coming down is F sharp, D sharp, B, A sharp, D sharp, B, A sharp, F sharp, B, A sharp, F sharp, D sharp, and A sharp, F sharp, D sharp, B. Those are going to be your chords of C sharp Mixolydian. We had, again, a C sharp dominant 7, D sharp minor 7, E sharp half diminished, F sharp major 7, G sharp minor 7, A sharp minor 7, and a flat 7, B major 7. Those are your chords of C sharp Mixolydian.